Hey guys, welcome back to the TruthStream Grassroots Warrior Network combo. We are excited to present our third interview with SJ. And today we're going to be covering Elon Musk, his ex-girlfriend Grimes, interesting things about one of her Instagram posts, go into a little bit of Donald Marshall, current events, etc. So for those of you not familiar, Grassroots Warrior Network is the brainchild of Kevin Hoyt. He has a background in television production, and we're excited to work with him because it brings together around 20 different anchors on a variety of subjects. So without further ado, here is our third installment of the interview with SJ. Welcome to TruthStream. We are back once again with SJ. I believe this is our third show with him, perhaps. I think. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to be going over a plethora of topics, and sometimes we segue, so we're not going to say what they are right away, but we'll just break into this. SJ, thanks for joining us once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love being a part of the show, and yeah, I love talking to you guys about all the different things here. I got something really good, and I'll kind of get into it right away, just because of our timing or whatnot. And I have a lot of information. But yeah, let's get into this here. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
And we're going to jump right into something. I've done a little research here in terms of, and a lot of people already know this already. Let me know if you can see that. It should be a stone there.
Yep, we see the stone.
Perfect. So this stone is actually a post from Grimes' Instagram account. She posted this stone in 2019. I actually have it here listed where she posted it.
And just so those people know, Grimes is the ex-wife, I believe. They have that
or
correct?
Girlfriend. I don't know that they were actually married.
Of Elon.
Correct.
Yeah.
Of Elon Musk. That's right. And they've had a child together as well. And so she posted this. This is supposed to, what some of her fans will say is in relation to her album. But technically, if you really look into kind of deciphering the coding here of what she has on this stone, I'll go back to the photo here.
There we go.
So when we're looking at this now, this is kind of more so me just getting into it, what I believe I think it is, just because of the events that have already happened. She releases a song with I_O, which is an artist, and it's called Violence. And I'll show you a little bit, just a snippet of that video there and kind of what it references to in terms of the jab. But then we have plus DNA plus the jab 3 times. And remember, she posted this in 2019. This is prior to COVID. We did not know COVID was going to come like a pandemic. Well, she has it here. Then she says equals aliens, which is very interesting because all it's been talked about lately for distraction is aliens. And here we have it listed here right after the COVID vaccine. Then if we look underneath here, we have kind of this weapons of mass destruction not mass destruction, but warfare. And this is what I would consider the Ukraine, Russia right now in terms of, what's happening there. But then we have this DNA splicing. I'm not 100% sure what this could mean. Maybe it's in terms of hybrids or whatnot. I have no idea. I know there's super soldiers within, certain factions, but again, I'm just kind of going along of our past events and then following through. This I'm not even sure about whether has to do with the vaccines in terms of the results of being sick. We're going through multiple emotions here. It's kind of like this anger, shock, sickness, kind of like this silly humor, and then what looks to be love. And that, I don't know, could be like a chemical warfare? Is that something to do with our food? I have no idea. But then we look at this, and this is where it gets kind of interesting. We have the moons, and we have the different types of what you would see in the sky in terms of a moon, getting to the full moon, which is three days, or I guess in this case 3 nights. Again, I'm not sure what the symbolism is there, but I did look up in terms of the moon itself. Maybe that would have some sort of effect on us. And what I did find is there was actually a study done, full moon and crime. Back in the day, they had all this type of crime, and for whatever reason, it used to spike when you would have a full moon. And they had a graph here of what they've done in terms of how many incidences of crime and measuring, and I believe they did this is like a 2-3 year study. So this is just showing exactly the type of crime levels you'd have. It spikes right on a full moon. So I know back in the day they would you get less of a sentence due to that. That was way back. I'm not sure what year it was. But then you come to this and they kind of done a study on it. And they've even, in the US Department of Justice, we have this, what's known as the lunar effect. So this is biological tides in human emotions. So within this, we have pretty much, and this is where it's kind of hypocritical against itself. It says, extensive analysis of data on human behavior and lunar astronomy do not indicate that the moon causes madness and crime, but it is accurately indicated that the repression of the moon's gravitational influence brings about social tension, disharmony, and bizarre results. So they're saying here, we know we don't think it causes this, but it totally causes this.
Right, exactly.
Right? So it kind of throws you off a bit. It's like, well, which one is it? But then you get into it. This is what's known as theory of, I'm sorry, I'm a little lousy here at highlighting, theory of biological tides. By this theory, the force of gravity can be shown to interact with the forces of human evolution and behavior. Gravity directly influences the human nervous system and may make persons more irritable or more sluggish depending on the individual. And then it just goes on in terms of, that effect that it has on people. So it is recognized by the US Department of Justice that the moon does have an effect on humans and their emotions.
And every bartender and nurse also would agree with that, I think.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we're still looking at the Grimes art.
Okay.
Not the article, but before you go, after the moon's the phases of the moon, are those explanation points? There's 7 of them after the phase, or what is that? Maybe you could zoom in a little.
Yeah, sure. I'll get back
to
the
look
photo
like
here.
And then we have the salamander. And then up above, at first I thought spider love, but I'm almost wondering graphene oxide can look like that too.
Oh.
And it kind of makes me wonder because in the end there, it almost looks like it's transformed. I don't know.
Yes, it's kind of hard to decipher. I feel like it's kind of like a known plan, but maybe part of the stone is to throw us off a bit as well. But I mean, it's pretty obvious when you have 3 vaccines, and that's technically the total amount of vaccines until the booster came out. And then just the term of events, the period of events in this, which is this is happening.
Yeah, for the audience, if you've got any ideas or comments about this, we'd really love to hear them because we're kind of all figuring this out together. But I'm sure a lot of you will have something to say about this.
Down here, it looks to be what's known as the serpent.
You're right. That's what I was thinking.
So there's 2 serpents, and then it looks like almost like a flower in the center. I don't know if it's a lotus or a flower. And with 2 serpents, then we have a heart. Now I know within the Bible, like we were talking about earlier, where we have the mother dragon come down and people lust after her. That could be a thing. I'm not 100% sure. I do know Elon Musk did have a post about dragons, and that was to do with space as well. But I mean, that's when you kind of go out and it just becomes more of a theory. So collectively looking at what it might be, I'm not 100% sure and why there's 2 of them.
It could be the salamander too, which can regrow limbs and whatnot. They use them a lot in studying genetics. It might have something to do with
That's true. That's true.
And then I don't know what that is below. It almost looks like a little guy falling over or something. What is that?
Are you talking about right here?
Yeah.
It's a heart.
So that's a heart with a bow going through it.
Yeah, either an arrow or maybe even a hypodermic needle. We don't know.
And then here we have what would be known as pretty much, nuclear warfare, that sort of thing.
And biohazard is
Yes.
there as well. So we've got nuclear and biohazard.
Yeah,
Then another exclamation point of some sort, then the end.
correct.
But with the arrow
It's
pointing
pointing
back,
the other way. Yeah, back.
like we start over.
Which has been known in human history. We kind of go through these cycles,
Yep.
and they are determined usually by years. So it could be something like that.
No wonder she wants to go to Mars.
Yeah, I
What
don't
was
know
it?
if Mars would be any better though.
What was
Mars
at the
looks pretty
very
intense.
what was at the very top of that before we move on?
It's hard to decipher.
Oh,
Looks like
it's something
the
with
smiley.
horns. Yeah.
Yeah, we got horns, maybe distress
Masks.
here.
Masks, and then boy, this is hard to tell, but the horns are interesting.
It might be a robot.
Can you tell
Yeah.
what that is, Joe, in between the horns and the little Humpty Dumpty thing?
I don't think I can. Is it looks a basket? Zoom in real quick, Esther.
Sure. It is a little hard to see. I apologize.
Yeah.
What's that thing in the middle? Almost looks like two hands or something.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
And then
You might
below
be able
that,
to see it better on her Instagram. She might even still have it up. But I know everyone in the comments is mentioning, holy smokes, like how accurate is this for at least a lot of it, right?
On
Yeah.
her Instagram, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and people can dig into that too and go on Grimes's Instagram. But I think we can move on to the next topic, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just gonna reshare here. Okay. So as we're looking at this, the full moon, and in terms of the lunar effect, this is something that has been released. Now we get into the Grimes video of violence. So this is the video that she released after releasing that stone. And I'll just show very quickly, just a snippet here, how they're all wearing masks due to COVID and they're social distancing. And she's talking about violence. If you look actually at the beginning of the video, they blur a book here. This is the book, what's known as The Art of War.
Oh.
And The Art of War is how to deceive your enemy.
Wow.
So I found that very interesting. And one of the things, when I was reading Art of War, one of the things it mentions is to show, and this is where kind of the Ukraine, Russian, the war between the two kind of fits in. In some cases, and I'm not a supporter of, kind of either or, I'm just more of a supporter of those that are being harmed that are good people, right?
Gotcha.
Obviously, we don't want anyone to be harmed, whether they're Russian, Ukrainian, Canadian, from the States, doesn't matter. Humans are humans. And, for all we know, most of these people, they have no idea what's going on,
right.
Especially with this. So, but we're shown on a daily, at least Western media shows, Ukraine is always in need of something. Now, in the book Art of War, you show that the enemy, that you're weaker than the enemy, so that when they think that they have, full confidence that they're going to take over, your army or whatnot, you show them tenfold. It's a way to deceive the enemy. And so in terms of all this funneling of laundering money, and where's all this money going to? Like, we've had millions upon millions of dollars transferred from Canada to Ukraine. And I know a lot of it is for refugees, which is good. But it gets to a point where you're fueling this, this art of war where you're supplying them with weaponry, ammunition. So all this, you're fueling a war. And so that's kind of an interesting thing there with the whole art of war, and kind of like the secret of COVID, where it's like showing the masks, and we're just we're stuck in this, almost like they're letting us play out what they had planned years ago,
Right.
And then we go into Madonna. And this is a concert she did. So this is back in 2019 as well. Madonna is 100%. She's even claimed herself that she is the, I believe, priestess of the Illuminati. She, in this video, likes to go by the name Madam X. X we'll get into a little bit further with Elon Musk, with the whole Twitter X thing.
Right.
But here we have Madonna, and you can see people wearing kind of like these gas masks, like something is going to happen. And I'll show you a little snippet here. This is exactly what she's trying, the message that she's trying to get out here.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing.
So she blows the fire, kills everyone. Now look at the sage here.
Yep. Masonic. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It kind of looks Masonic. Now it might not be, who knows? Maybe that's just the way they designed it.
Yeah.
Right?
Just by accident.
And there's been so many of these satanic rituals happening. Listen to this one right here. So she's saying, not everyone's going to be here for the future. Not everyone's here is going to last, because she's talking about COVID and how it's going to kill, however many people. So this is all predetermined.
Well,
I mean, you had this in the Olympics, for crying out loud.
It could be COVID, or it could be the next pandemic they're queuing up.
Could be, but this is in 2019, so I do believe it would more so be
before COVID even happened.
It still could be. It still could be the next. That may have been a trial run or something. You never know.
Now, the thing is, the X symbol is something we want to remember moving forward here, because this whole X thing is becoming more and more of a trend. There's like even X producer, this sort of X symbol.
It's that X steganography. Yeah, that's it's ancient. I mean, they're reviving things. I wanted to point out to Joe, that looks like the Denver airport artist paintings.
Oh yeah, completely.
With the gas masks, with the flowers and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. And the Denver airport, we got massive tunneling, and they had a huge budget that they just blew like right out of proportion. They have the Blue Stallion, which is like
Lucifer. Yeah, he killed the artist that made him. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we get into Elon Musk. So we're talking a bit about Grimes here, all of COVID. We get into Madonna and COVID. Elon Musk. Now, the reason why I'm getting into Elon Musk is because he released his new Twitter symbol. I'm just going to get to it here. Sorry, my apologies. Actually, I might be able to just go here.
Yeah,
so
I was definitely surprised by this, but now I'm not.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's the duality of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you guys see that here?
Yeah. We see Elon.
Oh, you still see Elon. Okay, let me just reshare here. But yeah, pretty much this is Elon Musk here. He's wearing kind of like this, well, obviously you can see the upside down cross there.
Wasn't that a Baphomet or a goat's head in this? Yeah,
exactly. Okay, and this is to do with that symbol X and how it's been used technically for the god of the sun, I believe. I'm just going to go to it here. Yeah, the sun god. So we get into the sun god here because this is the X symbol for the Masonic Lodge. And we can see here the X symbol, one of the motions in terms of rituals. It could be a sign of death, but then the Egyptian connection is more so drawn to that, where it's the Osiris, the watchful eye, the all-seeing eye. So, and that relates to the New World Order, which then we have Elon Musk. I have a photo of him here, of him wearing that jacket.
We're not seeing it.
Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna
okay.
quickly share here.
Please share.
Okay, so we have Elon Musk here, and I know it's very hard to say, but it was at the 2008 Met Gala. He's here with Grimes. I don't think they were together at this time, but it's the meaning of New World Order, same thing that's on your dollar bill.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to see there, unfortunately, but he is wearing it. There's no hiding there in terms of that. And then, yeah, I'm just gonna bring up another thing here.
Well, this is the type of evidence, if you will, that I think makes a lot of people question if it's really him anymore, or if he's, his likeness is being utilized by the good guys, white hats, whatever you want to call them, in order to help wake up people with his, you know, his background, etc. So.
Yeah,
Well, he's
for
talking
sure.
to left a lot. And
Yeah,
people
yeah.
love that.
Right.
And,
Sure.
he's a little bit punk rock about things.
Yeah.
People love that. And, but he's clearly got some transhumanist leanings. And, that scares the hell out of folks.
Yeah. I wouldn't fully trust it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Well, no.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we got here?
So here we have Twitter, and this is the old symbol for Twitter, as we can see here with the blue bird. And then we have the X. The X is kind of stuck with Elon Musk for quite a long time now. Prior to him having X for Twitter, he was X.com. That's kind of where he started making vast amount of his wealth. I think he sold the company or something like that. Might have had to do with transactions. I'm not 100% sure in terms of the X.com, but I do know he had a company like that. He's always kind of stuck with this X symbolism. One thing I did kind of find interesting is, and this is, I'm not sure if this is a reach or whatnot, but I just tried to see what this X could possibly, what kind of symbolism is this? So I tried to mirror the image and I combined the two. And then what we have here is what looks like the Mason symbol.
Right.
And I can show kind of like a reference here. It's very similar in that sense.
Yep.
So I don't want to make it so much a stretch. Maybe he just likes the X, but X has other meanings as well. And that's something I want to get into here. Can you see this website here? Or do you see the picture?
We still see the same
We
picture.
still see the
Okay.
X and the blue bird.
Okay, no worries. I'm just gonna go through the rest of the photos here. I think I'm having a technical issue, so I apologize for that. Yeah, I think everything's good in terms of that. So I'm gonna stop the share there. I'm gonna go back to the site here. This is kind of where I now get into what I was talking about earlier about the all-seeing eye and what the X reference is used. So we even have Queen Elizabeth here, as you can see, the X on her crown. There are different celebrities, different icons. Nelson Mandela, he has the X's on his tie. If we continue to go down, that actually looks a lot like a Mormon temple, by the way. The veil almost. So that's kind of interesting. I'll take you down here. Is Charlie Chaplin. He's doing a spoof of Adolf Hitler. He has double X on his hat. We have like different, Allen Iverson, he's doing the X symbol. We have Tommy Lee with Puff Daddy or Sean Combs, he's doing the X symbol. Oh, here's Stephen King. We're looking at it here in terms of Egyptian times. It's encoded here, and all the symbolism. I mean, it goes way back in terms of timing, and and they all mean certain things in their own unique way. And usually, from what I've noticed, is example, we have the cross. Well, it could be like a mockery of the cross. I know X means Christ in Hebrew, but with Satanism, it's almost like they always try to, twist it a little bit so that it confuses certain people and if they're trying to gain more knowledge. In this sense, where we have the X, I don't believe it's used for Christ. I do believe that it's used in terms of more so something satanic. And so we even have it in the Skull of Bones. the cross symbol.
Right.
We even have it in the conservative flag. So these are certain things where, again, these symbols then come out, and they kind of become more apparent. Now, another thing I just wanted to mention here is we have Project Bluebird, and this is coming from the CIA website. Now, just kind of making a reference with that photo,
Right.
with the whole bluebird, again, it could be a coincidence, but from what I think the bluebird, it could be killing Project Bluebird, which is, again, that CIA website. Project Bluebird is what's known as now MK Ultra. Now, to kill off MK Ultra doesn't seem like that would be such a thing. So I don't know if that could relate, because they still use till this day MK Ultra. I mean, they use it even through your public television set still, in terms of a certain narrative and trying to keep you from not going off that certain path and thinking on your own. So does Elon Musk have something to do with that? I'm not sure. Is there something else in plan? I'm not sure, but it's very interesting how he kind of killed off the sign and went with the full X.
Could just mean that Project Bluebird has a new look. It could be the same thing. I mean, social media has clearly had a profound effect on humanity. A great deal of that, a very negative effect, and very much a brain mapping exercise. When it turns people into drug addicts. They
Absolutely.
added dopamine, and so they become easily controllable. So this social media in general could be an extension of that, but with this immersive goal that he has of it's kind of like the WeChat app in China, where it encompasses every aspect of your life and people interact with it daily.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the more you investigate this stuff, the more you go down that rabbit hole, and then you kind of get lost in the end. And I think that's the whole point. Like, people that say that they know exactly what's happening or what to expect after, to know exactly, well, we haven't experienced it ourselves, right? Or we're going through this period of amnesia where we can't remember certain things. What I could also believe that too. Taylor Swift even had a concert where she was dressed up in a witch gown. All her dresses are dressed up in witch gowns. She disappears on the stage. And then as she reappears, she's still in the gown, and she's almost like casting spells out with the effects of it. And people were saying after the concert that they couldn't remember certain major things of the show. So maybe it's kind of like foretelling, like, I know they use their symbolism because they have to announce it in some sort of way, whether that's the law of the universe or, some sort of deal where they're saying, well, we did release it. It was just in this way, if they're trying to plead with Jesus and, afterlife, I'm not sure. All I know, though, is that these people, whether you're grown in it or if they take you as just talent and they see that they could use you as a tool, I just know that these people are not mentally well. Probably a lot of them get cloned due to this purpose, because the actual human morals that have been installed in us, in our spirit, in our conscience, well, we have to numb that, or we just can't handle it anymore. And the way to numb that is obviously through drugs. And so that's why you see a lot of celebrities just drugged right out or dealing problems with alcohol. So it just kind of goes down, again, that rabbit hole. But here we have May Musk. She's doing the one eye symbolism. She has this throughout her whole Instagram account.
Right. When you, and if you I mean, Elon being her son, if he was brought up in a household like this, I mean, how does he turn into be like this superhero of bringing down, the lefties or
Absolutely. And
it's just it's amazing to watch that.
And Elon does a great job of being this charming guy, very intelligent. He's somewhat good looking of a dude, and he's very powerful. He's one of the most powerful men in the world,
charismatic,
right? These are all descriptions of what could be known as the Antichrist. But again, if we were to look back at what Elon's nanny mentioned,
Right.
with her testimony with Elon Musk. She does mention that he's ushering in the Antichrist. So maybe it makes sense where he still kind of has that personality traits, but we could guess all day on who the Antichrist is, and it won't be apparent to us, obviously, as much as we think it is. We could guess all throughout this whole time. Oh, it could be this person, maybe someone high up in the office. We have no idea, because really within the Bible, it's supposed to deceive us, right? It's supposed to come like as if he's the savior of the world, and then we're supposed to have like this time of peace, and then all of a sudden that's when we realize we've been deceived. We have the mark of the beast and the Antichrist.
Well, didn't the nanny also discuss that he used to play with demons as a kid?
Yes, they went through what was known as a portal, which really freaked her out. And May said, don't let anything happen to Elon. Well, obviously she wasn't thinking, I'm going to go through a portal now. But he had these, and I know you've posted what we discussed prior on how to get to that interview with the nanny. But she mentioned how I guess he had these tokens or something where it could make the portal for him, and he went through it. She grabbed the arm, went through with him, and then all of a sudden you have like these ancient beings. But even though they look mystical and they looked really nice in terms of the eye, she said that the feeling that she received was a very evil feeling. So
Right.
it's interesting with that concept, right? But yeah, I mean, May Musk, if you look through her Instagram up to today's date, she's doing this, I mean, on so many of her posts. It's ridiculous now. It's like, make it more obvious. Why don't you, with the whole one eye symbolism?
Is this from this year? That's January 6th?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
This is just one of the posts, and this is not from her Instagram account. This is from just someone collecting some of her posts that she's
Sure.
done. But you can go onto her Instagram, and I mean, you can see it for days.
Well,
This
one
whole
thing I want to bring up with Taylor Swift is it's interesting. I mean, the fact she has such a draw, and people are questioning and the spells, and there's her performing with, there's witches on stage, or what looks to be witches, and snakes, and people not remembering that the timing is interesting, so that people could at least question, like, what is going on here? And it's not just one example. It's a lot of the Swifties, I suppose is what they're called. But
for sure.
But it is, it's interesting timing to, maybe it's a bit of a wake-up call that people can start getting this into their subconscious, that there is some kind of effect that these concerts or these rituals have on people. So kind of a soft red pill, if you will.
Correct. And from what I've heard, musicians, so like let's say Beyonce, for example, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but there is a video of Beyonce where they catch a glimpse of her as she's like shaking her head, and it's almost like a demon that you can see. And that might have everything to do with Loosh, I believe, in terms of, you have a concert, you have thousands of people screaming, there's a lot of energy that humans are giving off within that concert. And if you think of it as in terms of Loosh, maybe, these top celebrities could be hybrids, or they could be clones or whatever, but maybe they feed off of that in some way or another. And maybe too, that's why, you have these rare occurrences where, at the Travis Scott concert, you have people just dropping like flies. There's videos where it shows kind of like these shadow figures involved in the concert. This is really weird. It's almost like another dimension in terms of these beings, and they kind of crisscross in terms of our realm.
Yeah, and who knows what frequencies they're putting out at these concerts? Because I think the Travis Scott one, it could have been the frequency mixed with what was, whatever's in their blood now from the what. So who knows?
Yep, there was a certain frequency at the start of that concert where people were documenting how sick they were getting.
Right.
And it was literally just a frequency like woo, 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 woo. But it was a certain one. And they were talking about a lawsuit with that, but then all of a sudden this whole thing just gets dropped, right?
Right.
And it's always like that. It's always Epstein. He has the black book. Well, where's the black book? Why aren't we talking about this? Oh, now we have this, the Johnny Depp trial, with Amber Heard. Now that's a Netflix special.
Well, and now
I don't.
he's playing with the Hollywood vampires on stage with Alice Cooper, and Alice Cooper has an album from the 70s, I believe, Billion Dollar Babies, and on the cover is babies and money and panda eyes. I mean, it's and white
Yes.
rabbits, and you're just like,
Yes.
what the is going on here?
I know. And they just continue to rub it in our face, day after day, but they know their time is coming.
Yeah.
If we really think about this whole evil satanic, movement, and they've even tried to use it as like like back then, I think in the 70s, like this satanic movement was like a scare tactic. Well, not really. Like they always, or they add like, and they say, oh, it's a conspiracy. Well, no, it's just common sense. You just have to link it up, but they put these certain labels, right? So even when the truth is almost at the surface, it's almost like they have a way of just keeping all mouths closed. This trial act like it never even happened, and here's even a distraction of the Johnny Depp trial, which is now a Netflix special. You know, and they just keep doing this sort of
I didn't
thing.
realize
Wow,
that.
I didn't either.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's our next picture? Here we go.
So now we're getting into, so this is more of a Canadian thing, but I think this would be very interesting for the viewer, especially if they don't know about Justin Trudeau's past. Justin Trudeau right now is a big talk in Canada because he just recently separated from his wife, Sophia. I think that's her.
And
Sophia?
maybe actually she separated from him.
That's probably more the case. You're right.
Yes. Into as Riz Flex calls him, the peas or children. Yeah, later.
Yeah, and so here I just want to kind of show, because in Canada there is, now I don't know if it's a rumor. I don't think it would be a rumor. It would actually make a lot of sense in this. But supposedly, Justin Trudeau's wife was actually, well, they say they were engaged, but I think they were dating at the time, to his younger brother, Michel Trudeau. So Michel Trudeau, which is French, and then you have, I believe it's Sophia. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, it sounds kind of
Sophia.
similar to the Biden family, how they just kind of do it.
Yeah.
What's going
Yeah.
So yeah, so what happens is, in this video I'm about to show you, it's just a snippet of the reaction. Their brother supposedly went off onto this ski trip in BC and got swept by an avalanche. Well, where he was skiing backcountry, avalanches are very rare, which data shows. If you do a little bit of research on where he was in BC, it's not really much of a thing. It's very rare occasion where you'll get swept by an avalanche. And even if you do, the search and rescue teams are very good, especially in Canada on the mountains, where you have search and rescue dogs sniffing out that sort of thing. So even if they can't find you in time, most cases they're going to find your body. In this case, they never found his brother's body. Now, Justin Trudeau and his mom don't really show that kind of emotional distraught. It's more so like he deserved it. And then what ends up happening is, then Sophia is now with Trudeau, they're married, and who knows what the tipping point for her was for them to get separated, because it looks like it had to do possibly with money, or there was, some insider thing they might have had on her where they kept her in the family. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just going to show this clip here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And we'll have a look to see, this is after they've discovered their brother have died.
So youngest son was swept away by an avalanche.
If Michelle had decided to stay home and play chess and Nintendo, he would have been fine. But he chose to go out there, and that's what made the difference.
Okay, just within that snippet there, he's saying he should have just stayed at home and played Nintendo. But as stupid as he is, he went on, backcountry side, which tons of people do, by the way, in BC. I live out by the mountains, so I know, like, if lots of people go backcountry, yes, it is very dangerous. But the whole avalanche thing, it just doesn't add up. You also see here, this is Justin Trudeau's, I'll take off that. We can see Justin Trudeau's mother here.
Okay.
She's very interesting, in terms of her dynamic, but her reaction to the brother's death, it's almost like she's agreeing with him, like, yeah, he should have stayed home. He should have known better not to go backcountry skiing.
Yeah, because
Now
people who are into backcountry skiing are probably would rather just be at home playing video games.
right? And so when we look at this, they're kind of, he's passed away, but the thing is, there was a report done that he was with more than one person. And there is speculation that Justin Trudeau might have done a sacrifice in terms of his brother, not only to, marry his girlfriend, in a sense, there could have been something there, but also too, he wanted to, get that level higher so that he could be the next prime minister.
Oh, is that part of getting rid of his brother? It must be part of getting rid of his brother then,
well,
right?
we think of sacrifice, like that type of satanic ritual, that's a higher degree for sure. There's also, like, kind of like showing yourself as like dressing in women's clothing, that sort of thing, like a humiliation. That would probably take longer because you have to do multiple of those. So there's all these things in terms of, like, if you think of like the Illuminati, or New World Order, the Freemasons, all interconnected, but it's kind of that one or the other sort of thing. I know there was an interview done with a rapper where he said he met with only two doors and he could choose one or the other. One was sexual, and that's probably, sexual things being done to him, or sacrifice. And we do see that, that mock trial of the Bohemian Grove, that footage. Do you know what I'm talking about with that
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Yeah, where that footage was shown in terms of doing, mock rituals of sacrifice. So we know this stuff exists. And we're not reaching far out here in terms of Justin Trudeau, because it's just, his parents were swingers. We have Castro, there's a whole mixture of this crazy stuff that's within their family, and especially with the wife, which is now separated. So last thing I wanted to show you guys, before we talk about anything else you wanted to talk about here, this is a pamphlet that is from the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation, and I'll just you can see it there. Okay, that's a symbol there, which is actually on his website. This is an annual report from 2015 to 2016. If we scroll down one page,
But there it
we
is.
have a symbol here. Now, this symbol is very, I mean, a lot of people now should know what this symbol
Creepy.
means. And I'll bring it up in terms of the actual symbol. Can you guys see the picture here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, learn, share, and change. That's yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. So the learn, share, and change, which is a symbol on the FBI site, it's very similar to the blue logo, which is AK Boy Lover.
Right.
And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop share because I have to switch over, and I'll show you that symbol here that I have.
Yep.
So here you should be able to see it.
Yeah.
So here's the comparison. It's very similar. Maybe not exact.
How recent is, I mean, it's interesting that this stuff has been breaking, since the whole, I guess, Pizzagate phenomenon, and they're still using it. It's still in our face. And you wonder, like, maybe some of the stuff has already, and I think it has been taken down, but they leave it up just so that the other people can continue to wake up and just look at this. And it's like, just like the whole Bud Light, and then 5 companies later still doing what didn't help Bud Light at all. And it just it's almost like they're with the executive orders, and that everything's seized if you're part of human trafficking, or you
Yep.
know, that they leave it up so that the people can wake up, because it's just kind of still lingering years later.
They get a higher ESG score.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the sad thing is about all this is that whole Pizzagate thing. A lot of people still consider that a conspiracy, but in no way, like, there is certain footage out there and certain audio where you have John Podesta's voice
Oh yeah,
screaming
it's
at a
creepy.
child, and that child is supposedly, and I could find the video, but it's a little disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
The child is actually being burned by a shower, so there's a shower head there. They actually did more of investigation in it, and from what it seems like, John Podesta is telling I think it might even be his son.
You say
Is he
my
saying-
name or something like that?
Yeah.
Call
me
me.
dad. Yeah.
Call me dead.
But yeah, he's telling him to get in there because he's burning. Supposedly there's a shower there that's hurting the child. And then they link his voice with just normal him
Right.
talking.
Yep.
And it's exactly the same. I mean,
It's
no
so creepy.
doubt this guy. And now, in terms of the dark web, John Podesta has another snuff film that's been released.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Seen that one yet?
There's another one that's circulating again in the dark web. And I can bring up the name. They even mentioned the little girl that might have been involved.
Oh gosh.
But it's very tragic stuff. And it really sucks that this stuff, like, it was out at one point, but it was kind of released over the dark web. It's kind of hard to get in some ways. But if someone were to have that, you would think they would save it or something, right? But it's like no trace of it now. And so you can always say, oh, that's just a conspiracy, though there's nothing proven in terms of that. But then you have all this weird art and stuff that they have around Pizzagate. I've looked at actually recent reviews of Pizzagate, Comet Pizza Place, and people say in the comments how they wait around, in the dining room, waiting for the basement to open. So it's almost like there's an after hours where the basement opens, and that's where you can, if you're invited, you can go down, and I guess that's where children are. Now, again, they always say this is such a far right kind of view or whatnot. No, there's way too much evidence for this. It's super creepy, and we already have a voice matchup of John Podesta. His brother is just equally as bad. These guys are evil people walking amongst our earth, and they hold some of the highest positions. That Comment Pizza guy, the owner of Comment Pizza,
James Elephantis.
Yeah, he's in the Forbes magazine for being one of the richest men in Washington. It's a pizza
the most
parlor.
powerful, the most influential.
Sorry, most influential, but he does have a lot of money too. But you're thinking to yourself, how is this the case? Like, how is this place even still running? Like, that's how corrupt our world is, right? Everything's flipped upside down in a way.
To my understanding, they defended the whole accusation with, well, there isn't a basement at Comet Pizza, but then there were clearly pictures of a basement somewhere.
Right. Even if it was through a secret corridor.
I don't know if we know that it's basement. It was the kill room one I'm thinking of.
Right. It seemed like it was underground or something like that.
He owns a lot of property,
Well, yeah, there's so much underneath there. It may not specifically look it's under that building, but it could certainly be connected next door.
It's been a while since I've looked at that material, but I think he owns the adjacent building or something.
Yeah,
come on. Yeah.
Well, Obama has been seen playing ping pong there.
Sure.
With a child. Yeah.
Hillary Clinton actually passed out on a ping pong table there.
Oh, geez.
That's right. They have a photo of what seems to be with her patient or whatnot, lying in almost like face to face sort of thing. I mean, they're on opposite sides of the table, but they're facing each other.
Yeah, I thought that was Huma Abedin, but maybe it's been a while since I've seen that material.
Well, and Obama, there's photos of Obama with George Clooney, and you see children on a boat.
Oh, that was so haunting. And the kid, it's very, very disturbing.
Yeah. You have Obama in that satanic ritual mask. Have you guys seen that photo?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then we have Oh yeah, and then just recently someone died. I'm pretty sure on the Obama property, or
Yeah.
maybe it was a chef
the
or
chef.
something, right?
The chef, correct.
But
So obviously he saw or heard something, and now if you look at Obama's hand, it's all, you know, wrecked, and he has like tape around his fingers and stuff, or
Yeah.
it's like bruises, and it's very weird. You
Yeah,
know,
where
all
the
this
totally
kind of stuff.
unrelated incident.
Yeah, where did the phone call originate from? And yeah, just this, there's so much changing info, and you just wonder, you know, was it from the start that they were gonna talk about, like, who's really delivering the news? Where are the, okay, so
Well,
if well, I'm just saying, if these newscasters are getting the news and they're being fed certain things, are they being fed certain things to get people to question everything?
yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm sure
And
there's
then-
going to be a thorough,
yeah.
unbiased investigation of
Yeah,
the incident, and
right.
we'll get to the
pictures.
bottom of this, you know, in no time,
Yeah.
unless someone gets distracts us with another, you know, balloon or
Well,
some shiny button.
Neuralink is already in full effect now,
Oh yeah.
right? I'm pretty sure they're allowed to test on humans.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a
They are-
voluntary thing, I think. Yeah.
Probably it'd be
Kinda like that.
voluntary, but I do know that there was something in terms of a documentary I was watching where they were testing something like Neuralink, and the interviewer was asking the person who had the gear, you know, attached to his head. It's kind of weird, actually, but he was just asking him mathematical questions that you need a calculator for, and I guess something in terms of the frequency, or like whatever is happening in terms of his brain and AI, it links with the internet, tells him the answer, and he could give the answer. There's a little bit of delay. I don't know if he's just a test subject or what's going on, but you know, this whole Neuralink thing, you know, it might seem new to us, but I'm sure they've been, you know, kind of planning this out for quite a while now. This whole technology thing too, we only believe what we see in many ways, you know, in terms of how far we've come in terms of technology. But I guarantee it, you know, in terms of technology, we've surpassed, you know, much of what we see. You know, there's explanation of portals for, you know, portals and going to different dimensions, and maybe possibly going to the moon, which could be artificial. You know, it just stems all the way out. I just can't wait for whenever time where, you know, the supposedly in terms of the fifth dimension, we're transparent with one another. You can no longer lie, you can no longer hold secrets. Everything is then transparent between one another, and you know if someone's lying or not. And that's just from telepathy.
Well, you don't want every girl that you have a crush on to know right away, though.
No, yeah, maybe that. And I don't know how that works. Obviously, we're not to that level.
Like, there's got to be a little mystery and a little courting, and you know.
Yeah. It's, well, you wouldn't want, you know, someone catching you thinking about a certain thought as well and going,
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
so
I think there
that's
must be
behind
some
it.
kind of buffer, but Esther, we have about 5 minutes left with you, and I know, I mean, there's some topics we would love to talk about in the future, whether it's Sound of Freedom, or, you know, both of our interactions with the Donald Marshall, either himself or people that are around him. One thing I did want to say, you know, I did an update about a week ago on this topic, and one of the people commented that Donald Marshall should be able to do an interview because now he has some kind of net that keeps them from transferring his conscious at night. And
Mhm.
you know, I would love to have the interview, because, you know, Scott and I were on a phone call with him, and you know, it seems like it was going pretty well. He put out a notification to people that he was going to do an interview with us, and because the last interview he did was in 2016. But what is your experience that you've had, if you could give the viewers some insight into that, because we don't meet many people that actually have communicated with anybody in that camp.
Yeah, so I did try to reach out to Donald Marshall maybe a couple of years ago. That's when I was actually leaving Mormonism at the time, and I was starting to kind of broaden my mind. And Donald Marshall, sorry, had very good information, stuff that later on I had then confirmed with an Illuminati insider. who I still have contact to this day with. And he's exposed certain people within the Illuminati as well. That's something we could always talk about later on too, because that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I went through kind of, because Donald Marshall, he has said a lot, and in certain things, well, what he said, not to say that they aren't true, but I know when you're being messed with, in that type of situation, I'm sure by a certain point things become foggy, or your mind isn't what it used to be. If you're going through night after night being tortured, within this cloning REM phase, over and over again, and he's talking about different celebrities and how everyone wants to have a shot at him. Again, it could be truthful. So I reached out to him through Instagram, but there was no reply. And I understand when someone's going through so much trauma, especially something they cannot control in a sense, how that could affect, your overall well-being. But he
Sure.
has come out with a 5G canopy where he's mentioned prior, how he ordered it. He had a bill of sale for it, showing that sort of thing, which was very good idea on his part, very intelligent to come with some sort of protective netting that would stop him to falling into REM and going into the cloning center. Now, for the reason for him being non-responsive, I'm not sure, because I have seen in the past where he was responding to quite a few people. Now it seems like it's like a pick and choose, and it's really hard to tell, in terms of Donald Marshall. One thing I would say about Donald Marshall now is just question everything, because you never know, right? I believe wholeheartedly, just like how I got it confirmed by the Illuminati Insider, that the whole Vril thing, in terms of um, body snatching, in terms of cloning, blowing the lid off of that was huge. But who knows within that time frame between then and now what has happened to Donald Marshall? We are not sure. Only from social media platforms, and maybe he has certain people that are very close to them where he can share that information. But other than that, it's very hard to get him now to blow off the lid on something, on a much bigger topic, like kind of what he did back in 2014 to 2016.
Right.
So that's why it gets a little confusing, because he's still talking, he still has this platform to communicate, but is it the most efficient type of communication? It almost seems like in a way he could be lost, and then when help is offered, it's never taken. So I just know, if I was under, and I know, in terms of Donald Marshall, his situation's very unique. No one's probably ever experienced what he's experienced, especially if he's telling, 100% the truth in that sense. I couldn't imagine. In that sense, I would think suicide, I would never want to go down that road. But if you're being tortured every night in that sense, you would think, like, why am I still living here? Why am I here?
Yeah, I mean,
And
most of your life is experiencing the process of dying and getting, tortured. It's, my heart goes out to the guy, and Scott and I actually did talk to him on the phone, and things were going accordingly. But yeah, it does seem like, if there's definitely some MK Ultra, because like I've said, I've mentioned, the reason that I even started doing this show was to help kids, and that apparently in a past life I was one of those kids that died in a cave, and I don't remember any of it. But
right.
I would love to ask him things like, how at the age of 5 did you write a song like Lady? I mean, I imagine,
Yes.
because if he that must be either from some past life, that how he had the ability to understand what it is to love a woman. And there was some other comments on the video I did in the last week or week and a half or two, but that he either watched a show, and that's how he learned about it. But you can't it's not really the same thing. And the variety
Yes.
of songs that he writes is just, it's unbelievable that someone can
Yes.
So anyway, there's a lot of questions. So we would love to have him on, and I there's been a lot of things that he's mentioned that have really helped people understand more about our world. But anyway, we'll leave that for the next time. We'll definitely have you back, SJ. And anything you want to say in closing to the viewers?
No, I think we pretty much summed it up there in terms of, you know, symbolism and you know, I guess the final thing is let you know, in terms of the satanic movement, let symbolism be their downfall, because it seems as if not everything's a secret. Maybe it is, we have to decode, and you know, in terms of that grime post, but you know, these things, like, people are going to start waking up more and more to these things, and then it won't be so hidden anymore. And when that time comes, I can't wait, because let the truth be told, because the truth is what means most to everyone. You know, if you're constantly lying about something, you know, you're not considered maybe morally the best person. So when that transparency finally comes through and we all see, you know, what we were meant to see and not being hidden from us, or, you know, we're treated differently, I just can't wait for that time. And I know that time is coming.
Beautifully said. And we'd love to stay longer with you, but we do have another interview, and we'll bid you farewell, and we'll be in touch very soon. Thank you, SJ.
Thanks, SJ.
Yeah, thanks.
Always a pleasure.
All right, cheers.